When you think back over the 100K in 100 days, when you finally decided to accomplish it and do it, what was the, when you get serious, what did the week look like? When you focused on it, what did you change? What did you implement? What did you do?
Well, everything always boils down to your schedule, right? You have to know when you do things first. And honestly, I've only met maybe a few people who are really good at that. And usually they're not the only one running their schedule, right? They've gotten to a place to where other people are helping them, but you have to start off somewhere, right? You got to.
Yes.
So what did it look like? Well, I first, and throughout the process, had to realize that I had to have some non-negotiables, right? And I had to be willing to do some things that I hadn't done. So before, it's like we all have our days we want to work. If you're in this industry, it's not, and I'm speaking to myself, at that time, it's not I'm just going to show up at 9, I'm going to log in, and this is what it's going to be, and we're going to get out of here at 4 or 5.
Yeah.
It's not that, right? You start before that, because everybody always says, the people that came before us, you have to work more on yourself than you do your business, even though sometimes you won't, and you'll know.
You don't want to most of the time either.
You don't. But that's what it looked like. I had to see my schedule when I was going to do things. And one of the biggest things for me I had to do is I had to be willing to run a meeting 7 days a week. Because I didn't do that kind of volume. I didn't know what it was going to take. I had no idea. So that was something I had to be willing to do. And I kind of fell in love with it,
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the CA Power Players Podcast, live every Tuesday, 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. Today, I've got a crazy high producer to talk to you about and a special guest in our office all day. I want you to think about this, okay? Everybody wakes up and they get in the industry and they set a target. They want to make a certain amount of money. Think about what that number is. Well, if you haven't earned it yet, it's normally what? Let's say it at the same time. I want you to say it out loud in your car or wherever you're at. I don't care if you're at the dinner table or in a movie theater. Let's say it at the same time. $100,000, right? This dude did it in 90 days, 90-something days, about 100 days. Made $100,000. Everybody's trying to do it in 365 days. He don't even need the whole year. He just needs 25% of a year to pull it off. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from Tulsa, Oklahoma, Mr. Hayden Burger.
What's up? Appreciate you having me.
Dude, thanks for being here,
Absolutely. Bro. Excited to have an interview with you and get to talk to some people. So
yeah, man, dude, I am too. I'm actually really excited about this one too, because again, agents, like, that's their target, man. They want to make $100,000. Like every new agent in the world, it's like, well, what's your goal? $100,000. Like I hear it like 42,000 times a day. But you apparently don't even need the other 75% of the year like everybody else. Okay, so do you just work 100 days a year and you take the rest of the year off, or what's that look like?
No, that'd be a picture perfect world, I guess, right?
Yeah, that's true.
But no, plug in each week. It's not a hobby, so we show up every week and we have our days identified when we work and when we don't work, and we see what we're made out of, right? Test our capacity, and then as we go, we continue to take it back to the drawing board, measure it again, and then get back on the playing field. And but yeah, it's not like a 3-month thing. We're out. It's we've done this. Now what else can we do, and who can we teach to do it?
Keeps pushing, man. He keeps pushing. Yeah. I love it. Before I get to, I want to get to the 100K, and I want to get through talk to you about your schedule and time management and how you did that. And I want you all to hear this. This is going to be an incredibly focused workshop style, training style podcast. And then we'll get into a little bit of your story, etc. Before we get to those couple things, what's your experience been like hanging out at the CA headquarters for the last 5.5, 6 hours?
That's a good question. Well, if you follow Cody Askins or the team, y'all do a great job of making you feel like you're there almost, right? So when you have like your morning meetings, everybody's getting riled up. Or if you if you see like somebody at an event, if it's 8%, well, you shouldn't be watching it from your phone. You should be there, right?
Come on now.
But being here, it's so much better than watching it like on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook. So what I've seen here is I've seen someone who started off as an agent that was cold knocking doors.
Yep.
And it started off as that guy that was in college playing ball, and it's turned into something much bigger than that. And the one thing that we talked about earlier that I think holds true throughout the entire office is that it's not just you. And you could not be where you're at without people who share a vision, who share your vision. And I think it's a testament to you because you have something that's attractive and people want to be a part of that. So it's been cool. It's been freaking awesome.
It's been fun, man.
Yeah.
And to see your vision and what you're wanting to do and what you're wanting to accomplish and how soon you're wanting to accomplish it. I mean, we talked through some major, massive ideas. What was the biggest takeaway from you, whether it was just seeing the meeting or seeing the operations or hanging out with the team or spending 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours one-on-one? Like, what's been the biggest takeaway so far as you look back over the morning?
You know, there's something I heard a while back, and it's here. It wasn't said, but it's the saying, it's the strength of the team, and then fill in the blank is the team.
Yes.
Right? But there's always, it starts with a strong leader, right? And I think next to you, all the people you have in place, that was a huge takeaway, but also just everybody wants to be here. The people that are here are the people that want to be here. And if they're not, then they won't be here.
That's
right. So
that's exactly right.
They're sharing a vision. They're playing follow the leader. In order to be a good leader, you have to be a good follower. And I just was able to have that front row seat to watching you come off an 11-day stint, right, or 10-day stint, and hey, here you are. So
yeah, that's right. Just got to keep grinding at it, right? Got to keep doing it.
You got to.
Let's talk through the 100K in 100 days.
Yeah.
Which we're gonna be doing for those that haven't. Be on the lookout. We're gonna be doing a webinar on this together soon at some point. So make sure that. Because I asked him, I'm like, hey, dude, like you've got such a powerful story. You're doing such major things, and most people will never write 100. Most people have never written. We'll rephrase that because you guys have the ability and opportunity to do it. That's right. Especially when you can learn from someone like Hayden. But most people have never wrote 100K in 100 days. So I said, hey, will you teach this? Will you talk about this? Will you walk through this? He's like, dude, I'd be honored to. I'd love to. You know, he's like, if I can help somebody else do it, you know, that'd be great. So the webinar is going to be coming out soon. Why'd you agree to do that though?
It'd be selfish not to. It's just like coming into this business and realizing that you want to help people. Well, if you want to help people, how can you help more people?
Yeah.
You know, and although we go through peaks and valleys, you know, you may learn to produce really well. Then someone may show you how to recruit, and you may not be good at it. You're going to face your obstacles, right?
Yeah.
So in order for me to reach more than my capacity, I need to go get into someone else's capacity by teaching them the right thing. So, and it's never too late to learn. Doesn't matter if you've been doing it for 5 minutes or 5 years.
Yes. So if you look back over those 100K in the 100 days, did you set, I think I know the answer to this, but most people don't yet. Was that a target or did it just happen?
I'll answer it honestly. That's always the best way to answer things. At first, where it originated was there were some things that were going on within our team where they were like, you know, let's do 100K in 100 days, right? So it didn't originally start off as a vision that I like wrote down and this is it. But I was like, you know, that could be cool. And you know where I also heard it first? This was at we'll give a plug, a SWAT event,
That's
right?
Correct. I forgot I did that. Yeah.
Yeah, you did. You said 100K in 100 days and 100 recruits.
Yeah.
Who can do it, right? And I remember I had, after I had done that, I looked back. I was like, what the heck? This happened. And I took a picture of it because we threw it out on social media. Marlon Faulkner did, and I had messaged it to you. Then we obviously reconnected because we see each other a few times a year or so. But we, you know, it started off as being casted out there, and then over time as we were going, I was like, man, this is awesome. Like, we're doing it.
Yeah.
We're doing it. Like, it's happening. We're on track. We're actually ahead of schedule. So let's keep going. Let's see what we're capable of. And that's what something like that's like. It's, what am I capable of? Where's my capacity at? And you realize there's just always more there.
Is there a lid or a limit to what you can do in this business?
Only the limits you set on yourself. Right.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds like it's out of a book. It probably is.
Oh, I'm sure.
But it's the truth.
What isn't now, right?
Right. Yeah. Everything's impossible till somebody does it. So.
Yes.
But yeah.
We were just talking through the possibility index earlier,
Yep.
right? And people place lids on the way they think in their lives. You know, when you think back over the 100K in 100 days, when you finally decided to accomplish it and do it, what was the when you get serious, what did the week look like? When you focused on it, what did you change? What did you implement? What did you do?
Well, everything always boils down to your schedule, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to know when you do things first. And honestly, I've only met maybe a few people who are really good at that. And usually they're not the only one running their schedule, right? They've gotten to a place to where other people are helping them, but you have to start off somewhere, right? You got to.
Yes.
So what did it look like? Well, I first and throughout the process had to realize that I had to have some non-negotiables, right? And I had to be willing to do some things that I hadn't done.
Mm.
So before, it's like we all have our days we want to work. If you're in this industry, it's not, and I'm speaking to myself, at that time, it's not I'm just going to show up at 9, I'm going to log in, and this is what it's going to be, and we're going to get out of here at 4 or 5.
Yeah.
It's not that, right? You start before that, because everybody always says, the people that came before us, you have to work more on yourself than you do your business, even though sometimes you won't, and you'll know.
You don't want to most of the time either.
You don't. But that's what it looked like. I had to see my schedule when I was going to do things. And one of the biggest things for me I had to do is I had to be willing to run a meeting 7 days a week, because I didn't
do that kind of volume.
I didn't know what it was going to take. I had no idea. So
yeah,
that was something I had to be willing to do. And I kind of fell in love with it. Instead of running meetings during the week, I started to run most of them on the weekend. And it helped a lot, because I found out that people tend to be a lot happier on the weekend.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, so talk through that, because I've never heard that.
Yeah,
it kind of makes a little bit of sense.
Mm-hmm.
When did that epiphany come about?
I think the first time it came about, I was in a dial session. Right, we have our own different dial times. This one happened to be on a Friday afternoon. In between 2 and 6 p.m., it was probably 4 and 6. That's like that's like 4 to 7 is like a power hour. It's like happy hour for phone calling, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then I had set up the weekend. I booked a handful of meetings Saturday, and then I had booked 7 meetings on Sunday after church time.
Dude, most people would think you can't run meetings on Sunday.
You couldn't be further from the truth. Yeah. And the most exciting part is what I realized is that, okay, let's put myself in that situation. If it's a Sunday, even if I'm doing what I do now, that's a day to prep, prepare, whatever. And what I realized is that whenever I set those meetings, they were comfortable, right? They were getting ready for the week. They were in a different mood. They weren't on the go like they are during the week. And as a result of that, I was also in the same mindset, right? Like it was the weekend. Yep. I was comfortable. I was like, I'm going to go help some families today. And I was still able to do what I needed to do, because I didn't schedule it during a time that I was, say, like going to church or whatever it may be. So, but to answer your question, my belief increased when I set those meetings, and I started a week, like a Monday, with 5,000 in production. The next time it was 10,000. And of course it went back and forth, because sometimes you don't run the same schedule. That's the ability of being in a self-employed or entrepreneur type space where you're an aspiring business owner or something like that. You get to see what you want to do and not want to do. In this business can be done. And in today's COVID and now post, or in between, whatever you want to call it,
sure,
you can do it every day of the week if you choose to.
Yes.
I'm not talking about 24 hours a day.
Right.
You get what I mean.
Do you run face-to-face appointments at all?
I have not done that in a long time.
Did you during the 100K and 100 days or no?
No.
100% virtual. 100K, 100 days, 100%
I actually
virtual.
was moving states.
In the middle.
And in the beginning, kind of middle, yeah. I moved from Texas, where I'm from, to Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Wow.
Yeah. So no excuses.
And why'd you do that?
I had a person that a lot of us that are listening right now probably know, Marlon Faulkner, and I'm within the master organization with him, and also Nate Offert.
Yep.
2
great dudes. If you guys haven't you should know who Marlon is. If you don't, I did an interview with him, homeless to $100,000 a month, homeless to 6 figures a month, something like that. You have to check it out. It was phenomenal, unbelievable interview.
Absolutely.
It was like an hour and a half, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It was so good.
And you could put it on repeat. I mean, if you
kept going.
Yeah.
That dude can go though.
Yeah.
Right?
Connector.
Oh my
Let's
gosh.
Go. Yeah. So I was actually I lived in downtown Fort Worth at the time, and I think him and I were actually getting ready to do an interview together.
Yeah.
So I was leveraging my resources, my mentor, or let's just call it an upline, whatever you want to call it. And I had this feeling. They talk about it in a lot of business books, like a definiteness of purpose, or just like
The Think You're Rich uses that word in that book like 8,000 times. It's not the easiest word to pronounce either.
Yeah. And it's crazy. It's not. I'm like, well, you don't have to be smart to do this. We figured that out.
Yeah.
But when he had called me, he said something. He said, you can only get so far in life and business with talent, right? Or talent, skill, whatever it may be. But if you want to go from where you're at to the next place, you need to have someone that's gone there before. And I didn't know what that meant, but I knew that I never questioned anything he had said at that time. But I was available to hear it. Ed Milet talks about being available to win.
Yes.
We have to be available to receive information. And although I might have wanted to jump through the phone, or drive 4 hours and look up to him, he's a little taller than I am. Yeah. That wasn't what I felt. I was available to it. And I just realized that I needed to be associating around different people to go where I wanted to go. And as a result of that, I got to be closer to him. I get to hear different things. I get to be on phone calls with, guys like Nate Offert, guys like Edward Pritchett, any of the guys that are big within the company or outside of there. I get to also, get to hear from you as a byproduct of that. So I did that just to grow, and I needed to associate, and that's why I moved. And it's been so much more than that.
Well, here's one question. I feel like you do a good job of showing up. I always talk about step one of success, but most people, dude, I know like 7-figure earners or people that are close to 7-figure earners who may even be watching, that they say they're going to do something and they don't, and they struggle to show up.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to someone that is in that, or they're living that?
This is something that I copied from someone else. I'll just go ahead and, as most people have, right? I think that everything we do, and I'm talking to myself here, you have to attach something to it other than yourself, right? Like, why do you show up every day? Well, there's a lot of people that count on you.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
And if that doesn't wake you up, I don't know what will, right?
Yeah.
That's legal, right? So, for me in this situation, it's like, if you have a family, or even if you don't have a family, there was someone that said this to me on it was a Zoom call that we had, and he always said, whose life is better because of me? So every day when you get up, I don't care if you have a negative balance or if you are the millionaire,
right?
Why? Write down what you want and then put why, right? Well, why is that going to matter if I do this, or if I have this much money? Who's going to be better because of that? Is the life really going to be different if I haven't grown and I go out here and make this or do this? So attach something to it, I would say, that means something. And it's not just your why. Like, everybody can have a why, but why is that your why, right? What's your purpose? Is it to grow a team? Why, right? Do you want to reach more people? Why? Define it and be specific, like we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
And just show up, because when you don't show up, I don't care if you're a millionaire or not, or you're a zero in there, if that's a word. Yeah. When you don't show up, you lose influence, and you're only as good as your word. I was, raised knowing that. So.
Yeah, I heard that all the time growing up too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So true. When you look back at your week, what was the biggest week you had during that little contest with yourself, 100K in 100 days? What was the biggest week?
My biggest week during that was about 16,005. That's not my biggest week since I've been an agent, but during that that time period.
It's a good week, bro. Very good week. Break down that week. When did you call? When did you run appointments? What did it look like? Why was it so successful? You made probably a third of what the average insurance agent makes in a year. Yeah. In a week. So during that time, something that was non-negotiable, which hasn't always been the case, right? We have to go through those peaks and valleys like we talked about. Friday, I would dial. Most of the time I would start off in the morning. Typically it was between about 9:30 to 11, because there was a call that came up, and then master agency call. And then in the afternoon, I usually would get the bulk of I call it the happy hour time for dialing. And it's usually about 4 to 7. Okay. Whatever I didn't have, I would save for Saturday. That would be my dial time in the morning. And then if I needed to in the afternoon, I would still get some extras in. Yep. Did I sacrifice some time? I had to. It was a non-negotiable, because I had no idea what any of that took. Right. So
typically I would go into the week I would be started off at the beginning of this, between 3,000 and 5,000 in production.
Okay.
And then as I went, I would stack the weekend to where I'd get my goal was to be at 5,000 before I hit Monday in production.
Just in the weekend?
Just in the weekend.
Got it.
Because I knew once I got to the first part of the week, I could knock that out between Monday and Tuesday usually. If not, I have some carryover into Wednesday. Yep. We can't. Some people have reschedules, they have cancels, and then I would leave the rest to deal with like pending, and then obviously interviews were being ran, onboarding new team members.
Yeah.
Or business partners. And that's what every single week looked like. I would try and leverage the weekend. Basically, I would take the weekend from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. That was my week, which gave me a lot more time to do other things. So I could plug into different calls. I could go. I still hung out. I still had fun.
It's crazy.
It is.
Think about.
And the grand scheme of things is just how do we leverage our time? And even during that, I still did not use my time.
No.
How I should have. I realized how much I used the wrong way.
Yeah, it shows you like, well, crap, if it was... Okay, so was it easier or harder than you expected?
Honestly, I felt like after it was done, I felt like it was easy.
Okay, next question. If you had to do it all over again and your life depended on it, how fast, how many days, total days could you do it in? 100K.
100K? I believe that I could do it in a month.
Yeah.
100K.
I do too, actually, by the way.
I
I was thinking 20 to 40 days, somewhere in there.
Yeah, that's a good window. That just minimizes your opportunities to have errors, right? You cannot allow a non-negotiable to become a negotiable during that time because you won't do it. Like you're once you get in that flow state, it's like, okay, I'm doing this. I'm getting these leads. I'm calling during this time. And if this person doesn't show up, that means I now have to go book 2 meetings because I just lost one.
Yep.
Right. And what happens as a result of that is more people show up. So you're not practicing during the meeting, right? We don't practice during the game, right?
Right.
We got to make sure we're ready.
Yes.
So that's what I would do. Yeah.
Well, you probably did more. You probably bought more leads during that time than normal. Mm-hmm. You probably made more dials. You probably worked more hours. And subsequently, you closed more deals.
Absolutely. You know what it came down to as well is, a lot of times as agents, when we're getting started, I'm probably speaking to myself out there, just getting started. You have to go through a lot of the no's, right?
Yeah. Like
getting no-showed, having a reschedule, this and that. And eventually you got to get upset about it. Mm-hmm. You really got to get, you got to get so ticked off where it's like, I got to figure out what's going on here. Mm-hmm. And what happens is when you do high activity, you have a lot more opportunities than doing the activity down here, right? So, if someone's out there listening right now and they're brand new, or maybe they've been here for a while and they're starting to have a lot of no-shows, well, it's you can always boil it back down to the activity. So, as we know, if you do more of that, you're gonna have better results.
Correct.
But practices never makes perfect; it's permanent.
Yes.
So we gotta make sure we're leveraging somebody who's gone before us that we can look up to.
Speaking of those that have gone before us, or still with us, who's been the biggest influence on your life in this industry?
In the industry? Just one person?
You could name a couple, but who came to mind first?
The very first event I ever went to, I was part-time. I was so part-time, I was almost not even, you wouldn't even know I was in the space. And it was a SWAT event. I won't even lie to you. Yeah. That was my very first event. It was in Frisco, Texas at Stonebriar at Nate's Country Club.
What year?
This might have still been in 2018, if I'm not mistaken.
2018 or 2019?
I think this was 2018.
So I wasn't there yet.
Not this one.
Okay.
Because this is when he had done it at the country club.
Okay.
Yeah. So I remember going to that one. It was, I went to that event. I actually think, it was my sister was there, and then so were my folks. And it was just different. I started to, and I've been to a lot of them, a few of them over the years, most of them each year as I've gotten licensed. And I've just realized the importance of showing up to events. And one thing I've realized with Nate is he wants everyone to be great.
Yeah.
I mean, you think that guy I mean, you think he's had the success that he's had just by caring about himself?
No.
I mean, you have to care about other people.
Correct.
You know? And when I went to his first event and I've seen his baby just continue to evolve. And once I figured out where he was a part of, I was like, man, I can get behind this. So that was my first initial, which led me to Cody, which led me to seeing, Coach Michael Burt. Then obviously I have a lot of inspirations within, Symmetry and Quility. But that was my first ever event to go to. Yeah.
It's crazy.
So.
What were you thinking back then? Like, think back. What were you thinking about then? That did those things also just give you a bigger vision like they do me? Like, man, what's really, really possible?
Just to be transparent, there's a lot of information I've never heard before. So, and I'll remember one of Nate's close friends that lived in Miami at the time, Gus. You've met Gus.
Yeah. I love Gus.
He always says every single year it never fails. He gets up on stage and says, most of you are going to take notes. And maybe 1% of you will actually look at them again. Well, I was on the backside of that didn't go look at my notes. Just being transparent.
Yep. And we didn't have a Remarkable back then, so it probably don't even know where the notes are.
There you go. We had a legal pad that probably ended up in the trash can or the storage unit.
Yeah.
So it's but what I was thinking back then, I came out of the oil and gas business. I at the time was only focused on really replacing an income, and as a result of that, I just was my mind was open to different things, new ideas, and just I think where what's helped me now is how I've been able to go to these events now that I've worked on myself, and I can actually take bits and pieces and put them into practice rather than thinking I need to go take 30 things and all do them at once, because you can't do that.
No.
Right? Even we know John Whitmore talks about, he's like, hey, get one thing and focus on it and just master that.
Yes.
So,
exactly.
Yeah.
What are you most excited about with 8% this year in 2022?
The thing I'm always excited about is the association of it.
Okay.
You're going to get to see a lot of hungry. If you get in a room with a lot of high energy people, you're going to catch some of it.
That's right.
And you probably need it, right?
Yes.
And you're going to hear from people you've never heard from, and it's going to be something different. And when you know the person that's putting it on, not to toot your own horn, but
thanks, man.
I mean, come on, man. Like,
appreciate that.
If anybody's followed you for 2 seconds, they know where it started. Yeah. Sitting in your chair on the YouTube right there, just looking into the camera. So
squeaky chair, phone on the shelf.
But to watch that evolve from where it was to, okay, what's this year? You have Jesse Itzler, Ed Milet. Yep. And the other one. Tim Tebow.
Tim Tebow.
Yeah.
That's right. All three.
I'm fired up because, by accident, being in the room, you're going to catch something if you're available to it, but you got to be available. So I'm fired up.
You will. Well, this has been an awesome interview. Yeah. I could hang out with you all day. I mean, shoot, we may do the 100K in 100 days together next time.
Let's go.
Never know.
Yeah.
If someone wants to reach out, learn more about you, follow you, what would you?
I would say, Facebook, Hayden W. Burger. Instagram, same thing. I try and keep it simple so everybody can follow. I do have a business Instagram page, but you can follow the personal one. That'll be good. Yeah.
And we're finally friends on Facebook.
We are.
It's just weird. I guess we just weren't, which is wild. But I'm friends with them too, so it'll be ezy to find.
Yeah, it will be. And then I do have a TikTok. I'm working on that, so we're just breaking through.
Dude, I love
we're working on it.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
Well, this has been fantastic.
No.
Thank you for pouring in to other people around the industry on our Power Players podcast.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Okay, see you on the next one. Hey, if you enjoyed this, I got another one you're going to love. It's right there. Click on it. See you in there. Let's talk about the Tesla since you brought it up, okay? So they gave away a Tesla this past year.
Yes.
How did that work? What did you do? Whose idea was it? Where did it come from?
You look at it, we always give back to our community, and we're like,